Barely you familiar at this point. I know I've been working, you know that. Why would I know? I'm a single punch. I trained, but that's out that you're in love with me. Do you love me?
Okay, let's dive right in. We're talking Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Romero. Big fight.
Huge fight. And not just any fight. The vacant WBA Regular Welterweight Title is up for grabs.
Exactly. That's happening Friday, May 2nd, 2025. Location, Times Square, New York City. So pretty high profile.
Definitely. And, getting ready for this, we've looked at quite a bit of material. What sources are we drawing on today?
Yeah, good point. We've gone through articles from SI.com, Yardbarker, Big Fight Weekend, Boxing News.
Yeah.
Also MarshallBot.com, OddsShark, Bad Left Hook, and TalkSpeed. A good mix.
So a solid cross-section of reporting and analysis.
Right. And the plan here for you listening is to really unpack this. We want to give you a clear picture of both fighters, their backgrounds, their strengths, weaknesses.
What the experts are saying, the betting lines, all that stuff.
And just why this particular matchup feels so compelling right now. There's a lot going on beneath the surface.
There really is. Understanding the fighters individually is kind of key to seeing how this whole thing might play out.
Okay, let's start with Ryan Garcia. KingRy. The stats look impressive. 24 wins, 20 by knockout. Just the one loss.
And he's still young, 26. He's got the height advantage at 5'10", 70-inch reach, fights orthodox. Standard stuff there.
And it's a big but. His last fight. That Devin Haney situation back in April 2024.
Yeah, the no contest, overturned because of the Osterine test, and then the one-year suspension. You can't ignore that.
No way. A full year away from elite competition. That's significant. It raises questions.
Huge questions. Ring rust is the obvious one. But also, mentally, where's his head at after all that controversy? It's a lot to come back from.
Definitely. But let's talk strengths, because when he's on, he's really something. The hand speed is just exceptional.
Blindingly fast. And that left hook? It's his money punch, isn't it? So many knockouts come from that.
Absolutely. Great counterpuncher, too. Yeah. Agile, good timing. It all adds up to that high KO ratio.
And that speed, it's not just flashy. It lets him land punches before guys can even react. Against someone like Romero, who can be a bit, unorthodox.
Yeah, we'll get to Raleigh. But sticking with Garcia, that speed could find openings.
For sure. But again, that layoff. Training is one thing, but actual fight pressure. Different beast entirely.
And we did see his chin tested against Gervonta Davis. That body shot ended it, but Davis was landing at stairs too. Raleigh will know that.
Oh, you can bet Raleigh's team has watched that tape countless times. They'll be looking to test that chin, test that body.
Okay, let's switch gears. Rolando Romero, the challenger.
For Raleigh, his record is 16 wins, 13 KOs, and 2 losses. So decent power there too.
He's 29, a bit shorter than Garcia at 5'8", 68-inch reach, also orthodox. His last fight was a win, right?
Yeah, unanimous decision over Manuel James. That was back in September 2024. So he's been more recently active than Garcia.
Style-wise, though, they're very different. Raleigh is.
Yeah.
Well, unorthodox is the word everyone uses.
It really fits. He doesn't move like a typical boxer. He comes forward, he's aggressive, throws punches from weird angles, and he hits hard. That 72% KO rate isn't an accident.
He definitely tries to impose his will, tries to make it rough, unsettling, like you said earlier.
Exactly. That pressure can work. It can force mistakes.
But that same style, it leaves gaps, doesn't it? People talk about his defense, or lack thereof sometimes.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. Being unpredictable offensively can mean being predictable defensively, or at least leaving openings. Those wide shots, sometimes he's off balance.
We saw that against Isaac Cruz, didn't we? Cruz is a pressure fighter himself, very disciplined, and he caught Romero.
Right. Cruz exposed some of those defensive holes. A sharp counterpuncher, someone like Garcia, could potentially feast on those kinds of openings if Romero gets reckless.
So Raleigh's banking on overwhelming Garcia with power and awkwardness before Garcia can time him.
Pretty much. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy against a guy with Garcia's speed and accuracy.
Now, this is interesting. There's some old footage floating around.
Yeah.
Sparring footage from way back.
Yeah, I saw that mentioned like 8 years ago. Apparently shows a young Garcia having a tough time with Romero's aggression in sparring.
It definitely adds a bit of spice to the buildup, doesn't it? Gives Raleigh maybe a little psychological edge, thinking, I've handled this guy before.
Maybe, but Garcia's response has been pretty clear, right? He's basically saying, that was then, this is now.
Yeah, he's emphasized how much he's grown, developed. 8 years is practically a lifetime in boxing terms.
Totally agree. Sparring is sparring. A one-title fight in Times Square. Completely different pressure, different stakes. Fun backstory, but probably not a huge indicator for the fight itself.
So what are the experts saying? People who've been in the ring, people who analyze this stuff for a living.
Well, Timothy Bradley, former champ, respected analyst, he likes Garcia in this one, cites the speed and power.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sean Porter, too, another guy who knows his stuff. He's also leaning Garcia, talking about the technical skills, a KO potential. Seems like a bit of a consensus among those two, at least.
Interesting. Does that line up with the betting odds?
Oh, absolutely. It mirrors it almost perfectly. Garcia's a massive favorite, like Madison 1,000.
Wow, minus 1,000.
Yeah.
And Romero.
He's the underdog, around plus 560.
So for anyone not familiar, what does minus 1,000 actually mean in simple terms?
It means you'd have to bet $1,000 on Garcia just to win $100. Shows the bookies and the betting public think he's extremely likely to win.
And the plus 560 for Romero.
Means a $100 bet on Romero would win you $560 if he pulls off the upset. So, yeah, big difference. The market sees Garcia as the clear A side here.
Okay, let's try and tie this all together then. We've looked at their styles, the layoff, the history, the odds. How do you see this actually playing out on fight night?
Well, putting it all together, Garcia just seems to have more advantages on paper. The speed difference is significant. The technical boxing skills, they seem superior.
And he's got to be motivated, right? Coming back from that suspension, wanting to prove a point.
Huge motivation. He needs a big win to get back into those major conversations, but
But Raleigh's power is the equalizer, that unpredictability.
it's always the X factor with Romero. He absolutely can land something big and change the fight in an instant. That power is real. And his awkwardness might disrupt Garcia's rhythm early on.
So you don't see it as a complete walkover despite the odds?
No, I don't think so. Garcia needs to be careful, especially in the early rounds. He needs to respect that power. But over the distance, Garcia's speed, his combinations, his counterpunching, I think they start to tell.
You think he breaks him down?
I think that's the most likely scenario. Garcia uses his speed to control the range, picks his shots, counters Romero's aggression, and eventually finds the opening. Romero's defense might not hold up under that kind of sustained, accurate attack.
So, the prediction, are we talking points or stoppage?
Given Garcia's power and Romero's potential defensive lapses when pressured, I'm leaning towards a stoppage. Maybe somewhere in the mid to late rounds.
Round 6 to 9, maybe?
Yeah, that feels about right. Round 6, 7, 8, 9. Somewhere in that window. Garcia by KO or TKO. That's how I see it playing out based on everything we've discussed.
Okay, so just to wrap up this deep dive on Garcia Romero, we've got Garcia, the speed demon with the killer left hook, coming off that controversial layoff.
Against Romero, the unorthodox power puncher who's looking for that one big shot to claim the title and upset the odds.
Experts favor Garcia. The betting lines heavily favor Garcia. It's for the vacant WBA belt, May 2nd. Seems like a potentially explosive night.
Definitely has all the ingredients. The history, the contrasting styles, the title on the line, Garcia's comeback narrative. Lots to watch for.
All right, final thought then, something for you to chew on. We've talked about Garcia's layoff, Raleigh's power, their different styles. What's the single biggest question mark you have going into this?
Good question.
And maybe more interestingly, what result would actually surprise you the most, considering everything we know? Think about the mental side too, not just the physical clash. What happens when that first bell rings?